All right. They're here.
How you doing?
You're Tim.
I'm Tim.
Nice to meet you, Tim.
Nice to meet you too.
Yeah.
So far so good.
Good.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm got a lot more snow where I live than you guys got down here. So.
Where do you live?
Up in Marquette, Michigan, up in the UK.
Oh my God, man! It's hard for you to get down here then.
Yeah, I mean it's my territory, so but yeah, when I get down here, I try to maximize my time a little bit.
God, well, I'm sorry I wasn't able to see you last time.
Yeah, that's it. Well, it was kind of a last minute thing. Lance had called and I said, hey, you know what? I'm in the area. I'm going on vacation the next week, so if we got it, we can do it right now. But I'm just trying to fit it all in. So, what are your concerns? I guess I'm trying. That's
there are areas that I can show you a couple.
Yeah. Because part of the reason is I got treated by.
These two don't slide. They've been nailed so hard they don't have any give.
Okay.
And then in the afternoon when the sun hits, at least I thought at first it was gunshots.
Okay.
But you can hear it popping when it releases, when it gets real tight, and it suddenly goes bang.
Yep.
Like that. So they've got these little oval things, but what am I telling you? You already know that, where you're supposed to nail it, but not nail it all the way down.
Correct. Yeah.
Well, these don't. I can't move them.
Okay.
Same thing on the other side. There are multiple spots in the whole house where these are nailed down so hard they don't go, and then when the sun hits them, they'll snap and pop with the temperature. And I've been told that that will eventually cause this to fatigue and break. It only has so many snaps and pops until the actual vinyl starts to break down, and then the nail secures it.
Yeah, more so what we see is if a panel does not have that expansion and contraction,
yeah,
what'll happen is we call it oil canning. So it'll be like you kind of see some dots around there. I don't think it's really going to crack, but it's not the most aesthetically pleasing.
Oil canning. I should look up oil canning.
Yeah.
And then if you look in the back, I can show you that. You can see where the part up above was nailed too hard because it's all buckled.
Yeah, let's take a look. Yeah.
And there's lots of spaces. I mean, there's lots of places all over the house where you can't move the vinyl. And the only reason I noticed it, like I said, is that when the sun hits it, you can hear it pop. And I would come outside and go, is there gunfire? Because there's 3 ranges over there. And I'd look, oh, there's nobody shooting, there's nothing going on. And then I had a couple of friends say, oh, it's the vinyl's been nailed too tight. And what it's doing is giving up. It'll get warm, and then eventually overcome the nailing.
Yeah, I mean, so I haven't. What I've heard is actually noise. I actually can hear it in my office in my home, just where I live, like where especially you probably may hear it more in the spring, where it's a cold morning, the sun comes out, hits on it, and you can hear the siding expanding a little bit.
Yeah.
So, and that's just
once the pop is done, it's over.
Okay.
I don't get any more.
Yeah.
Once it releases from that desire to expand, it's done. And you can follow the sun. As the sun hits that part, then that side starts to expand because it gets heated.
Yeah.
And you hear it'll be a pop, 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 pop. And then once it's had a chance to break loose from the nails, you don't hear it again.
Okay.
I've never heard anything in the cold, but I've only heard it in the sun.
So did you use all 20 foot and 25 foot?
It's what the guy who installed it used.
Okay.
Yeah. And there's multiple ones here where there's absolutely no give.
Did you buy it or did the guy buy it?
I bought it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you intended to get the longer length, right?
Yes.
Because we are not making those right now.
Oh, really?
No, the plant can't.
The plant can't do it?
If you don't want distancing of the plant.
Oh, I guess 25 feet makes it hard to social distance.
So,
and then if you look up here, I couldn't appreciate it at first, but you can see where it buckles. I don't have a very good eye, but you can see it doesn't buckle there. And then when it comes over in this corner, you can see where it goes like this.
No, I mean, I didn't watch them put it in.
So Cedar Impressions has a very specific install that I would never be able to tell until it's taken off. But we have what's called a center pin. So there needs to be and it's every single box we write this instruction on. There needs to be a hole, essentially along those elongated slots in the middle there is a round hole. And that holds the panel from the middle to control the expansion and contraction from the middle of the panel.
Yeah, and you can see where it goes up. And, well, why am I telling you this stuff? This is just what I've observed. I don't mean to insult you by telling you your business.
No.
But it's actually gotten worse. It started over there, and then this part was pretty good, and now it's gotten wavy, or whatever they call buckling.
So I can tell you, I mean, this is what you wanted me to do, is give you my honest opinion.
Yeah.
The Cedar Impressions is installed.
Okay.
So that, I can, in at least one aspect of it. So if you look at the way these keyways are lining up, the product is designed to not do that. And how we do that is that first course, you cut off, like right below me, or right above me, excuse me, is where the edge of one panel is. When you start on the right side, you cut that flush, or in this case, you would cut it at the angle and then go down the row. When you start your second course, you go to a B mark on the panel, which is directly in the middle of the panel. And basically the reason for that is so you don't have overlap of the keyways. It staggers those keyways. You would not have a situation where I can see all the ends of the panels going up at an angle like that. So there's one, there's one, there's one.
Right.
They would be separated by a lot. What I would assume, there's two things that have probably happened here. I don't have a ladder, I can't get on a ladder. And to your, now, I don't know if it got communicated, but there was, the stuff I saw, there was a requirement that I would write a letter saying that it was either installed right or installed wrong. We don't write any letters. As soon as we do that, we're assuming installation. So I can't do that, but what I can do is just speak to the things and that's essentially what I'm.
Yeah, I think the essence is you have to say, listen, Certainteed, if there's a warranty claim, we'll say, no problem, it was installed correctly, warranty claim.
Exactly. So
but if you say, no, we're not going to.
So like we could have filed a warranty claim on this because it should not be doing that wave.
Right.
And I would tell you, get denied because that wasn't installed right. The other thing to look at, without pulling it all apart, I can't tell, would be, so like I'm seeing, see those dimples there?
Yeah.
That's what is traditionally an oil can, where that panel is being restricted. Now, I wouldn't, when you're making the transition to Cedar Impressions from, this is monogram here, you actually have to terminate you take and cut off the nailing strip, punch in nail slots, put a starter strip for the Cedar Impressions over that, all while making sure everything moves properly. I would have not put a 25-foot length up here. I know you're adding more seams, but the one thing with the 25 is that's twice the movement of a 12.5 foot, which is standard.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
So it's got to be able to move in. So it just, what that does is kind of narrows the window
of its expandability and contractibility.
Well, it narrows the window of install accuracy, or you have to be spot on those dark colors, which you can, but if it's somebody that's not, we typically would sell that product to a contractor that's all he does is install 25-foot lengths.
Oh, okay.
So he's so used to working on that and saying, when he goes to do a window, I'd have to go, I sell very little, so I'd have to go in the book to look at the spec. Every other siding is a quarter
So
inch.
you have to be really good at it to handle the big stuff.
I wouldn't say really good at it. What I'm saying is you'd have to really, be familiar with it. And so with these longer lengths, I mean, it needs to have that full length of that slot, and those slots are longer on the longer length product. But if you just locked that into without putting a starter strip, locked it into the panel, that could be what's causing some of that oil canning or not allowing that movement.
And the oil canning is, I guess I know how to spell it, I'm just not sure how I'm seeing it.
Oh, So if you look at the bottom, the dark siding, I can't even see it now. I can see it more back here.
Okay.
There's looks like 2 round dimples.
And the dimple is a product of the nailing, or
That's so if you see the bottom round, the bottom,
the lower,
half
the
of
horizontal
lap,
edge,
yeah.
or just the lower half of the siding?
the lower half of the siding. So
Okay.
basically, it'd be, this part of the siding up there just has 2 little dimples in it.
Okay.
That's essentially what you see when you when you lose some movement. So.
Yeah. See, that moves fine.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. Nails, not even words.
yeah, so we. This is
See, now-
2x4 or 2x6 construction. How does it
2 by
work?
6.
Foreman, yeah.
Okay. How?
And this is Zip R. It's
Okay.
a
Yep.
special kind of siding that's got exterior insulation. It's got a weatherproof surface
Yep.
here. And
So-
so this is supposed to be there.
Yeah. So see how? I mean, that's kind of one issue that would come up where we need to have a nail in the center of the studs or the center of the slot into a framing member. That's why. So we'll write stud finder. So like, looks like a.
Oh, and that's why there's so many slots everywhere, so that you can find the
like
stud.
this is a U. When that U repeats itself, it's 16 on center.
Oh.
And so how we're locating all those studs. So, I mean, yeah, you've got pretty good, and it may be fine. So that's kind of the hard part is where vinyl siding has a lot of tolerance.
A lot of what?
Sometimes has a lot of tolerance. So sometimes good, sometimes bad. Meaning, you can nail some stuff tight and install it poorly, and you'll never see an issue with it.
Okay.
Other times, just one little tight nail on one panel, in an oil can, it just catches up and it tries to grow and it can't, and it distorts. So it's kind of a tricky deal, because that doesn't mean it's all bad. It's just, let's just go back and we'll fix those couple pieces and we'll go in and address that. The shake here, these are polypropylene, so they're a different material, but those probably, my suggestion would be to take them off and reinstall them.
Okay.
They may flatten back out, I hope, but I would, typically PVC, polypropylene is a little different from that. It expands and contracts at 3 times the rate as PVC, and that's what PVC is. This is PVC.
Oh, that's why you were talking about the looseness, getting them spread apart on the.
Well, so what we do there,
Polypropylene.
so yeah, exactly. So we have to. Each panel has a thermometer on it, and when you set the gap from panel to panel, you set it in accordance to the temperature of the actual panel. So if it's a cold day, like just standing in this shadow out in the sun, if the guy has those sitting out in the sun, they can be 60 degrees warmer than the air temperature. So now we set that gap to, we know exactly where that panel is expanded to or contracted to. We set the ones next to it, and essentially they'll expand and contract all at the same rate and
You're
remain a seamless
anticipating what the product is in terms of its size at the temperature
at
that
the
you
time of
install it,
installation.
and then you anticipate that you've got this range in the environment, so the panel has to be set up to adapt to that range.
Correct.
Oh, God, this is amazing! I didn't know any of this.
So it's, that's because it's an expensive product, and there's very specific things to it on the install.
So that is much more challenging to install than.
Oh yeah,
this.
absolutely.
Okay, it's another level.
Yeah, it's just I did it. I have salesman hands.
They're soft
I've been
and
doing this
delicate
for
now?
16 years, but I did them our whole house. We used to live in Waukesha, and it's, anybody can really do it. It's not
But
difficult.
you really gotta know the way it's done.
You
Temperature.
got to follow the installation instructions.
Okay, all right.
So I think it's unfair to say if whether or not somebody has the skill level to do it. because, I mean,
Well,
I could teach my 10-year-old how to do it. I guarantee it, because you can do it if they follow the steps. Anybody can do it.
Yeah.
So, was there other spots we want to keep?
there's all sorts of spots, at least on this, that it doesn't move at all, because like I said, if you're here early enough in the morning when the sun comes out from the east, you'll hear all this popping noise, and that's
And typically, like, so my suggestion then is that it would be to, I mean, kind of how I've seen these things go. Take my suggestion as much as you want.
see, that would seem to move okay.
To be honest with you, I mean, I'd like to see more. I'm
Oh, and when you
kind of nitpicking a little bit.
well, nitpick, teach me, make me smarter. That's what it's all about. When you say move more, what do you think in terms of? Oh, so that's not moving as much as you'd like.
Yeah, more length in that slot.
And how do you decide how far it should move based upon the piece you're looking at? Do you say that's
Well, the slots maintain or decide how much it's going to move. So you're ideally the nail's in the center of that slot, so it can, whatever the dimension is on the slot,
all
it can go that
and
way
that
or
gives
that
you
way.
all that distance, at least a half, 3/4 of an inch.
And then your overlap is an inch and a half. I'd have to check on 20-foot lengths if that increases. I can't remember
Okay.
off the top of my head. I typically deal with
Very
the
interesting.
12 and a half foot
So now I
lengths.
can look at the siding with a whole different viewpoint because I didn't know all these details.
Yeah, and I know there's been a bit of an issue. What I would suggest here is probably have a contractor maybe mark the spots that you see. What I'm not seeing is the siding is not usable anymore.
Okay.
I'm seeing this, it's really if there is issues, we're catching it at the right time. There might be a piece here or there. You can't get 20-foot lengths. It does match up to our 12.5-foot length. So if you need other siding, I would replace it with the 12.5-foot lengths. But because you'll be waiting forever.
Well, the
if you
reason
start making
I
it.
think was that we went with the really longer lengths is so we didn't have as much.
Yeah, and
of
that's
this.
that's exactly why everybody does it. And this house being kind of a longer house, not broken up very
Yeah,
much.
you don't have that visual change.
Yeah.
The more short pieces you have, the more it becomes sort of
Yeah,
obvious.
or I guess you could wait and live with until that siding's back available again. But,
And you say I should put it on. The challenge I have is that I'm really old.
Yeah.
And trying to get up on a ladder and trying to figure out where it should be.
Yeah.
And then I don't have enough experience to tell you. See, I can't move that. That for me is stuck. And I don't want to be the guy saying, "Oh, this is wrong," and then somebody comes in and takes their big bicep and goes, "No, that's not a problem."
Yeah. So what I kind of go back to is that full length, moving the full length of that nail slot. So, it'd be a sider coming out and really just start working through the pieces of siding, and grabbing a ladder and go along the top, make sure you can move them. If you can't move them, then unzip, figure out the nail, what's going on. The hard part is, I unzip a panel and then I try to move it. That panel's still being restricted usually in one way unless I unzip a ton of stuff, which, can be done. But there'll always be just warning, whether it's 5-10 years from now. They've done a great job here. How all of this is isolated with J channels, that's perfect.
Okay.
That's what we want to see. A lot of guys will just side right into that, and then there's all these, protrusions going into a house, and the siding gets compromised. The other part is under windows, like that one area where you said it wasn't moving. It's occasionally what can happen. And once again, they did a great job here where they're installing undersill under a window. There's a lot of contractors that skip that step. Because what that does is create some rigidity to the siding, where if that's just sitting up there, you've taken so much structural integrity out of this piece of siding
too thin.
that it doesn't like to expand and contract as much.
Okay.
Downspouts. Gutters are another kind of issue that's come up. So one of the things, and this happens all the time, so it's not what you could do, so, and this could be done right, our install manual calls for making the hole 3/8 bigger than the siding, or excuse me, 3/8 bigger than the screw.
Now, what does that mean, making it bigger? Cutting it bigger?
So making a big hole, then put the screw through there, and then you caulk. It's the only place you should really caulk, so it still has some movement.
Oh, I see. So you actually drill out the hole
Yeah,
on the
'cause-
slot, make it bigger, put the...
Yes, so what's happened is like, so now that screw holding this gutter strap goes through the siding into the OSB, and it's
and it
now
traps
holding
it.
that piece.
Okay.
What I suggest, rather than worrying about all the bigger screws and caulk, is if that gutter strap was on this piece of siding, see how short it is?
Yep.
Or if you take a smaller piece, it never has an issue. Now I'm speaking of something that currently is not having an issue and may never have an issue, but those are some of the spots, and it's 90% of the time you may never have. It all kind of depends on sun and if it's going to be beaten on this side of the house all the time.
Yeah, and obviously north, we never get a problem on this side.
I like those gutters, they're huge.
Yeah. You know, it's always good for me because it tells somebody they like me gutters.
No, I'm in the process of kind of redoing our house.
Up in Marquette.
So I would have them probably look at that. It's the same product, it's the same guy, it's probably the same install.
So the same attention to temperature, size,
Yeah, it's the
fitting.
same program.
Okay.
Probably the right Star Tripper, you could use the other one.
So really, anywhere there's siding is going to have to be examined, make sure it moves.
Yeah, I would just kind of go through and make sure everything can move, and
Okay.
you know, and if there is a piece, so like that piece on the back where you had that dark strip there.
Yeah.
Good thing is you've got other pieces of siding.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably, so that what I was getting at, which I don't know if I finished my thought, that polypropylene siding kind of can come back flat, you know, and will
The shingles
doesn't destroy itself as much as PVC. Where PVC, the reason we use that is you heat it up, you bend it to a form, and it's going to hold that form.
Okay.
So once they expand out and they oil can and get those dots in it, you're not getting that. They're not going away.
Oh, the oil can's kind of a permanent feature.
thing,
Once
yeah.
you get an oil can, you got an oil can.
So that was kind of my point on, like, I think it's in a spot where I don't need a whole lot of material, but just somebody kind of coming through and
Okay.
you should be good. But it's yeah, other than that.
So what I was told is that, and I don't know if any of this is true, that once it's improperly installed or not installed to standard, that Certainteed says they're hesitant or not willing to warranty other issues with it. So if it fails for some other reason,
Yeah.
Certainteed can go back and say, listen, the install wasn't correct to begin with. We're one and done with this.
That's why I was kind of curious on how you heard that, because anybody speaking there's no one authorized to speak towards anything with warranty
Okay.
other than the quality managers at our plant. I can't even speak to it. So in this circumstance, it's, as far as Certainteed's concerned, or the quality manager's concerned, this is full warranty.
Okay.
As long as, you know, okay, let's say you call me, like for the instance, you called and said, you know, that cedar impressions in the back is all wavy.
Yeah.
I want to file a claim. Your product sucks. It's not doing what it said it's going to do. A claims rep comes out. He takes samples off, looks at it, makes his determination, goes, and they say, no, we're not covering that because of this, 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 and this. You know, and that's just to that gable or just that area.
All right.
If there's not an issue with the other siding, they're not filing a claim on the other side.
Okay.
So it's, the same like with this, and I'm not filing a claim here. I mean, in my,
Oh no,
'cause
and I didn't expect you to file a claim.
in my, it's more of kind of a, hey, this is kind of what I'm seeing. Gives them full time to come and remedy that, and they would absolutely have full warranty coverage.
Okay.
You know, now if it ended up oil canning, like let's say that whole side of the wall just gets all wavy and wonky, and we come back out, or a claim truck comes out and finds everything's nailed tight still and it never could move, yeah, that
You're gonna say,
it would be like, sorry,
luck.
it's not
it was
covered.
an installation issue, not
Yeah.
a product issue.
The same reason why the mediator, I couldn't meet that demand of saying, yep, the house is all installed properly, because then suddenly something fails. You come back with a letter saying somebody from Certainteed said it was all installed right now.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
assumed all that
I
liability.
totally get what you're
So
saying.
we never
we
do
can't
that.
hold you to the fire because you didn't install it.
Yeah, and I've
And-
had
and you're not
million-dollar
tearing the whole-
projects that
and
have
you're not-
asked me to do that. And
Yeah.
I say, you have to find
And you're
somebody
not
else.
tearing the whole thing apart to examine it to see. You're here just
Yeah,
to
we're
look at
not-
it and say, listen, there's a problem.
Yeah. Or if
This is what needs to be done.
exactly, or
Okay.
if there's a specific issue we can point to, then what I do is, I've been in this region or this market for 16 years. I've told every builder, if there's something that, if there's a problem and I can't explain why it's doing it and we deny the claim, I will get it covered. I'll figure it out somehow. It's because it doesn't, I'm dealing with one right now that our plants drive me up the wall because they're saying it was shipping damage in a perfectly square, undamaged box. How can it be shipping damage, you know? So it doesn't make sense. So
No, it doesn't.
We got a new quality man. But okay.
So you would say,
What I would do,
go
however,
ahead.
sorry, not to keep interrupting, is if that material's not bad now, I would not let it sit out there in the summer, because it will get wet and it creates like a little oven in those boxes when they're wet and they're sitting outside, and it will oil can right in that and be
right in the
trash.
box. Okay.
So good and bad with long pieces of siding, you get less seams. The bad part when you have your extra for if you got a little Billy mowing the lawn or somebody throws a ball and puts a hole in your siding, you got to store that somewhere, and it's really big, awkward, long pieces of stuff to store.
Yeah, I can get it stored. Yeah, that's not an issue.
So
Yeah. God, I've learned a lot.
I hope was it what you anticipated? I mean,
Yeah.
I know I was a little apprehensive because I don't like jumping into the middle of what kind of seemed like
You don't have a
rat's
dog
nest,
in
but
this fight.
No,
You're just here as an observer and give your impression and your opinion, and you don't want anybody to say, but Tim said, and I'm going to take him to court, and then Tim's going to say I'm going to be spending the next 3 days in court trying to defend myself against something I shouldn't have to
that's the
defend
thing, is,
myself.
you won't get me in court. You'll get this,
No, I get it.
this corporate attorney from Certainteed.
He'll come up and say,
you don't
nah,
wanna deal with him.
yeah, we just gave an opinion, didn't say it was done right or wrong. We just said, this isn't what we, yeah, okay.
But yeah, I mean, the house is really cool. I kind of like it. It's sweet spot.
Oh yeah, it's 18 acres.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you all go straight back that way?
Yeah, it's sort of L-shaped.
Yeah.
Go back about 1,500 feet and go off to the right. There's a big pond back there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a real nice
City.
location.
Yeah.
And this is the kind of place where you could park your car, leave your keys in the car,
Yeah.
be gone for a month. Your car and keys would be there when you got back, because they know we're here, and Jeff and Barbara know we're here.
Yeah.
And if I wasn't here, they'd probably come out very politely and say, hey, how you doing? And who are you? And why are you here?
That's good.
Yeah, I've had them come out and say, we don't know where you are. And I'll say, well, I haven't been here in 3 days. And they're watching all the time. They're great neighbors. Oh,
Yeah.
they're awesome neighbors.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
good
it's a
setup.
nice neighborhood. Probably not as nice as Marquette, but I can't live that
I've
far
got
away.
2 feet of snow in my yard right now.
Well,
I don't
if
know
you're
if you,
into
I don't
snow,
know if you think that's nice or not, but
well, I think if I was into
Yeah.
cross-country skiing,
Yeah.
if I was into snowmobiling, it'd be very nice.
I love winter, but I've learned I hate April. April is the shoulder month that
It's
is
the
rough.
tease.
The fall is okay because you kind of go into winter and then you get some snow and it'll come and go, but it's
No, I understand.
mud season. So, but we deal with it. We love it.
Yeah,
Kids
well,
love it.
were you here yesterday?
I was. It was snowing pretty good.
Yeah, and obviously it's the typical, like you said, the hump, and it's gone. And the only thing I don't like is the salt. And
On
that's
your
because I have a
vehicles?
lot of really cool cars, really old
Yeah.
cars, and I don't get to drive them in the salt. I mean, it's a first
Get a
world
wrench
problem
on
that
'em.
I'm dealing with.
I know. I've got a couple that I'm trying to recover from the salt right now. So
Yeah. Have you ever heard a thing called wool wax? Just change the subject.
no.
If you have a car you really, really like, and it's got some salt, you know, corrosion, there's a thing called wool wax, which it's lanolin, wool wax, and you spray it on the underside of the car. You obviously don't get under the exhaust or the brake system. It will stop the rust right at that point in time.
Really?
Yeah, so my daily drivers that go in the salt all get wool waxed. And it's been out for at least a decade. And once you put it on, and it's easy to put on. Once you've done one car, it's easy peasy. And you do it in the fall, and you do not do an underbody flush because it always stays liquid. You'll bust it off. Yeah, it stops the rust.
I'll have to try it.
It's an amazing product. It's nice to have a lift. If you got a friend who's got a lift, that makes it real nice.
I'm using this.
Yeah, I do it for
POR 15.
Oh yes, paint over rust.
Yeah.
That gets hard.
It does. Yeah.
And the challenge with POR is that it will chip and break, and wool wax does not, because it's a liquid. It almost gets into the corrosion, stops the water and oxygen from getting to the piece, whereas POR, I've heard about it, I've never used it, can sometimes trap the moisture and the
there's
stuff.
prep is the key to that.
Key is the prep. With wool wax, it's nothing. You just in the fall just do it once a year.
I've got a Jeep and a truck that need a lot of work, but that's neither here nor there with this stuff.
Nice.
So cool. So I mean, do you need anything more from me, or
if you get a business card, I'd love it.
yeah, I probably do have one somewhere. I don't have one on me. Or I can text you.
Oh, text it is fine. That's good too. Business cards make it easy. One thing I do when I get a business card is I take a picture of it, because I've always discovered I lose things.
Yeah.
So you work for Certainteed?
I do.
And you said you've been at it for how long?
16 years.
16 years. My God, a career.
And I've been doing a bunch of meetings.
Oh, meetings are always fun. I'm being facetious now.
No,
Meetings aren't fun at all.
No, actually, it's more kind of. And my counterpart on roofing was giving out his card. And I'll have to text you.
I appreciate it. You need a telephone number? Obviously.
Yep. I gotta find my. Phone's been ringing. Contacts. How did that happen? You don't want that one.
Maybe I do if it's a little risque or something.
No, it's the local builder, Tim O'Brien Homes.
Oh, all right.
It's been plaguing me.
I seem like everything, you get a number or something, you go, oh my gosh, it was Friday afternoon.
Okay, I need to share contact message. And what is your number?
414-212-5140.
5140. All right.